And we're back, Bewley fans, for the long-awaited second week of Clash. Do apologize for last week. It was vacation for all of us back in the US and Thanksgiving time, so hopefully you all spent it well with family and, of course, spending money on that Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. But I'm joined once again by my good friend, Chris. Chris, great to have you.
Ethan, my dear friend, my brother in Blasphemous. Great to see you too. Thanks for having me. I'm very, very excited to be back for the last game in round one. It's going to be a banger.
I hope it is a banger because we do have Bravo versus Kassai to actually check out today, and they're going to be piloted by the lovely Elaine and Zach Bunn. Not as lovely, still a fine young man over from Team Covenant. So it'll be a pretty exciting match. This is wrapping up the last of the round one matches that we had to play through here before we get onto that second phase of the double elimination bracket. Now, for a reminder of everyone who isn't tuned into what Clash is this wonderful new format that we're pioneering where we're going to be taking young heroes to the limit here of what's capable when you limit some of the rarities in their deck. So in the Clash format, you get to build a 60-card deck where everything is locked to common and rares other than mentors, hero specializations, hero weapons, and the heroes themselves. So in this matchup in particular, maybe seeing some spicy cards coming in by decks like Kassai. Because Kassai, Chris, what is she looking to run, you think?
Oh, she's got all of the almost all of the goodies that she might find in a full-powered constructed format. Of course, some of the standouts, her specialization, blood on her hands. Build up your copper, attack again, and then you can finish them off probably with this incredible zero-cost specialization, which lets you hit up to about 6 times and do all sorts of other ridiculous shenanigans. So that's one to look out for. I imagine she's rocking the Centauri Sabers, which, they don't seem too threatening. It's another case of the old Kadachi syndrome. Oh, it's just 1 or it's just 2, and then before you know it, lying on your back looking up at the lights. So a few things to look out for in this matchup.
Yeah, it's really interesting to actually get access to Blood on Her Hands in this format compared to something like Commoner. That's a huge powerhouse card that's still available alongside Minerva Thermos, which is a mentor coming in at that majestic rarity, like all mentors are, that Kassai really loves to abuse. So I'm hoping to see that come up in this match as well. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the deck list exactly to look over at this moment in time, but I think we can also assume that Zach is going to be bringing those big Bravo attacks to bear. Things like Crippling Crush, why wouldn't you run that, right? Maybe some other big heavy hitters like Thunderquake. You can't get all the way to Pulverize. Pulverize is a majestic, but Bravo still has some absolute bangers in the common and rare slots. So I think this is going to be a pretty exciting game, Chris, and we should probably just jump right in. All right, Chris, in front of us today, on the left side, Kassai being piloted by Elaine Hammondtree from the Pitch Perfect podcast, rocking Kassai with Centauri Sabers, and that whole suite of armor looks like Ironhide, the head, chest, Gallantry Gold for the arm slot, and Refraction Bolters in the leg slot, which is quite a bit of block that she's bringing to the table against the likes of Bravo, who is absolutely going to be pushing in big numbers, big hit effects that the armor should come in pretty big in defending. But what's Bravo looking at?
Yeah, well, Bravo, we've got the banned-in Blitz, Hardened Cross Trap, which is going to come in very, very handedly for, the reduction of anything that costs 2 or more. That's going to tag team very nicely with the Goliath Gauntlet sitting there in the arm slot. We've got the Helm of Eisen's Peak. Draw an extra card if you need to. Maybe Zach gets on the back foot at some point. Popping that hat off will take him up to 5 cards, but no time for that at the moment. Elaine's coming in to hit and run, giving the first weapon attack go again. That Centauri Sabers is getting pumped up already by a skirmish as well, and looking to start things off with a reasonably sized Saber here.
Oh yeah, and she's actually going first, and she did win the die roll, so this was her choice, which is a pretty smart choice into Bravo, right? Because Bravo can abuse the freedom of going first to throw in stuff like a dominated attack that just deals free damage, because Kassai, what can you do when you can only block with 1 card on turn 0? You kind of just eat that damage. Or even heaving in some big attack. So Elaine making the smart choice, taking the play here and actually throwing in damage so far that Zach is likely to block because that's 5 coming in already.
Yeah, it's at least 2 cards, and we see 2 of them come down here. It's 6 for 6 on the defense. That one we see remarkably blood on her hands in the pitch zone there. So Elaine knows it's a bit more of a late game card. Blood in her hands. You do have to build up the coppers, which you get for hitting and attacking multiple times a turn. So maybe we'll see the blood on her hands come back around. But for now, we're going to push forward. We've got another attack coming in from the second Centauri. Gonna get a little bit of a buff from this one.
Oh yeah, and it's actually dominate, that keyword that we were just mentioning on Bravo's side that can punish on a turn 0 like this, but it's Kassai who's whipping it out and hoping to hopefully chip in damage on top of Zach's life total here. So it's 5 with dominate, and of course potentially pumping up, but it looks like Zach is blocking with a showtime, so it's fortunate that he had that because that is a non-attack, so it's not going to buff Centauris, but he is throwing in the equipment block. So Elaine eating 2 equipment pieces on turn 0. She's got to be feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah, it's not often that you do see a piece of equipment get binned off on turn 0, as the kids call it these days. But Zach has opted to do that, keeping the life total super high. He knows that it's very easy to sort of leak or bleed little bits of damage, 1 or 2 a turn. So he's really wanting to start things off with that life, a bit of a buffer on there, just 20 each. And then Zach's sort of going to see what he can come up with now. It's probably going to be a lot of this. 1 massive attack per turn, thundering in for 10 with a Thunderquake.
Ooh, yeah, this is a very, very efficient play on these 3-card hands. That is going to allow him to keep that 4th card for even arsenaling here. So this is a great turn 2 by Zach. Just throwing 10 damage. It's no hit effect, but that's half your life total in these young hero formats. So Elaine is respecting it. She's thrown down 9 block, still leaking 1 damage through all that. And what is she likely to do off this 1-card hand? Maybe set up, maybe go for that arsenal. We'll see right here in a second.
Yeah, these 20 life health formats can be 60 to 0. To borrow a quote from the powerful Ash a little bit, they can go from full health to nothing really quick and be like, oh, we're sitting up, we're dancing around each other, and then suddenly we're on 2 or 3 life each. And Bravo is absolutely leading the pack with this sort of principle, because 1 attack is half your life, and Elaine put 3 cards in front of that. A very, very smart and wise decision.
Yeah, extending the game. It's really smart because she can be greedy there and just say, yeah, I'll go to 10 and throw maybe a subpar hand. But she looked at her hand, decided that it wasn't actually worth the trade, and is just going to buy an extra turn out of the game, basically. Protect that entire life cycle, or that turn cycle of health, and just go for a better hand. So now she's staring down only 4 damage from this Anothos, which maybe gets pumped. You know, these sneaky Bravo players, they love just saying Anothos for 4, and then if they pummel it, which, looks like happened right now on screen, it can not only get the pummel buff, but also potentially the Anothos buff, depending on what the pitch zone looks like after the case, which right now, sure enough, pumps that Anothos to 10.
Yeah, you speak of the devil and he shall appear, and it is very suspicious when you see an Anothos coming in for 4 when the pilot has 3 cards left in hand. So may or may not have been telegraphed, but either way, ends on 9. So let's see what she can do with these 4.5 cards. You might call an Arsenal card. Well, hey, it is one. So coming in with that Arsenal card, slicing and dicing to start things off. Again, we're getting some pumps. We're getting a go again. We're going to get a whole lot more Saber action.
Yeah, that's actually 2 red slice and dice so far, and a red outland skirmish. So that's presenting. I mean, these are great rate cards when you can play that many reds in a turn, right? It's most likely a turn that was worth trading your life for, because those slice and dice basically represent 4 damage apiece. They're going to give +1 on this first swing, +3 on the second. Outland skirmish giving +3, and then also adding that extra copper hit to the turn cycle. So this is really, really strong. And if it looks like even Zach is saying that's so big that I'm just going to say no blocks and see what else your turn gives you. And the turn just keeps going with a blue Blade Runner to make that second Centauri definitely swing in here.
Yeah, that massive attack for 7 was just part 1 of Elaine's attack. Here comes the second one now, and I was a bit worried for Elaine when she went down to 9, thinking, is she going to be able to return serve with something as big or bigger? But it looks like she's going even bigger than that. Not the card, but the just the damage size. 9 again. And, Zach took the first chunk. Got a few cards in hand left to defend with. Let's see how he's going to apply that, because, of course, then the more you defend, the less you're coming back with. And Kassai can play the defensive and aggressive roles very well. Holy shush!
Yeah.
From 4 life on Zach's side.
Wow, I thought Elaine was the one who was getting a bit block heavy in this matchup. When Bravo's the one who normally takes the forefront in playing for blocks, but Zach is just saying, nope, never mind. Like, you're gonna block most likely more than I will this game, because he's keeping this entire hand to just keep going aggressive and leading off here with a Goliath Gauntlet. So this turn is just gonna be deadly. This is gonna lead to obviously an attack that costs 2 or more, which is always scary from Bravo's side, because is it a crush effect? Is it something he then pummels? You never quite know.
Yeah, Zach's looking pretty confident. He's got the thump in here, and of course, if it gets that buff, it gets go again. We're given a +2 already. We're up to 8. This thing's already got go again. We've got 2 more resources sitting in the bank.
Oh no, it's not. It's not go again. It's the discard trigger, is what it's getting.
That's the
there.
discard. My bad, but hey, that's probably even more scary. You've got damage coming in. You've got the threat of losing yet another card, even if you don't defend. So Elaine's got some thinking to do on this attack.
Yeah, and this is another telegraph play. I think Zach's drawn another pummel here. Now, was it a red pummel? If it is, that's pretty incredible, because he just slammed another one on the last turn cycle here. But Elaine brought in all of these heavy block equipment, and it was with a purpose. So you see her throwing it in front of this dominated attack. So far, looking at 5 block in the equipment alone. She can block with 1 more card from hand. Is it going to be now? Is it going to be a potential defense reaction after the fact? I guess we'll see on how the reaction phase plays out here. But Zach does red pummel. So it looks like Elaine didn't block yet. It could be something in the reaction step here.
Yeah, there's a whole lot going on. There it is, and beautiful steel blade shunt. So no 1 point of damage being taken from Zach here. Elaine's going to be the one taking 1, but that was a very, very nice defense on that one. It looked very scary, especially when the pummel came through, but steel blade shunt just saved the day, and things aren't looking too bad on Elaine's side of the board. That 1 card defense, well, 1 non-equipment card was very, very good, and it puts Elaine in a great position to keep the damage coming from Kassai's side.
Well, I don't know. The discard effect still went through there, because 1 damage was enough to hit Thump's discard effect and, of course, Pummel's discard effect. It's not looking for Crush on that card. So Elaine still basically had to skip her turn. So the 2 discard triggers went through. She didn't lose a lot of life, so that was great for the trade. But it gives Zach another big turn, because Elaine just couldn't do anything to pressure him at 4. So potentially a bit of a misblock not using Refraction Bolters, actually, because it was 1 point of damage difference. So maybe she just hedged on blue or yellow pummel, but hey, that's a story. That's a thing of the past. We're staring down a crippling right now.
Yeah, this crippling is dominated. The cost is reduced by 2 thanks to the cross strap, but 11 points, and again on hit. This one you got to take at least 4 damage for this on hit, but Dominate might help that out. We've cleaned out a lot of the equipment from the previous attack, and 11 coming through. And this is really, it's a bit of a treat seeing the crippling crush in a 20 health format. Specialization coming through here, and we have a little bit of a block. It's better than nothing.
It is, and actually it means she lives, because if she'd used refraction last turn, funny enough, she would die here, I think, most likely, because this is dominated through the Bravo effect. So maybe I'm wrong on calling that a misblock last turn, because this does keep her in the game. She's going to go to 1. She will have to deal with these discard effects again. That Bravo is just dealing out relentlessly. But hey, being at 1 is still something. It means you're not dead. There's more hands to be played. So they're just going to decide here on that random discard. Maybe the 1 card hand is something like a 0 for 4 that can still threaten lethal. You're never quite sure.
And every card that you're threatening to take out of Bravo's hand, a lot of those cards are blues, paying for the cost of those massive attacks. So it is still important, even when it feels quite dire with one card left, being on one life, to keep pressing the attack. Elaine is opting for an arsenal this time, setting up for hopefully another turn, but there's always more fight left in the tank as long as you've got point of life and a card or two in the deck. So
Yeah. Ooh,
hasn't given up yet.
well, it's scary though, right? In Elaine's position, you're probably just hoping and praying that Zach didn't draw enough blues to just pay for dominate. Because dominate, even on something that is a 5 damage blue, is potentially death here.
Yeah,
So
end of game Bravo dominate is it's inescapable, and sometimes it just feels really unfair. But you have to keep your life total as high as possible for as long as possible against Bravo, because luckily this one is not dominated, but disable is coming in, threatening 7 damage, and get another crush effect. There will have to
yeah.
be quite a few cards being put in front of this one, I'm imagining.
Well, right now Crush says on hit die. So unfortunately, this is most likely a 3-card block unless Elaine is running those 4 defense reactions in Sync Blow or Fate Foreseen to properly cover this up, because these breakpoints when you're at 1 are just so threatening, because they threaten inefficient blocks like we see right now. 9 block on this 7 attack. Now Elaine's fortunate overall that Zach didn't have enough blues to actually pay for dominate, so once again she'll actually get to play this hand out, and with that 1 card she banked in arsenal, now it's a 2-card hand that most likely will be able to threaten 4, especially if she leads off here with the Gallantry Gold to pump those Centauri Sabers to 3, and that's 3 base. Now they can threaten that +1 if Zach blocks with a attack as well, so potentially leaking quite a bit this turn, and most likely presenting lethal.
Yeah, it's an amazing Stubby Hammer's impression that we've got going on here. And but the 2 cards that we see from Elaine, there's the first attack of 3. We're going to see a second attack of 3. You can do a lot with a little, and of course, splitting the damage over multiple attacks is going to challenge Zach's hand card by card rather than one big one. I think we've still got 1 point of defense left on the Helm of Eisen's Peak, so that could come in to help things out, especially being on 4. Could be looking at some type of 1 card, 1 equipment defense at some point. But wow, I'm really impressed with what Elaine is displaying for us with these 2 cards. Blade Runner coming in to give go again, and the next attack's going to get pumped as well. So this is some exciting stuff.
Yeah, that's a great 2-card hand to have built up over these past few turns. That red Blade Runner in Arsenal, obviously nothing she could do with it when it was just that singular card in hand after the discard effects came through, but she arsenaled it, found her blue this turn cycle, and is making her 2-card hand incredibly threatening here. So she's coming in for 3 on this first swing, which not only was scary in its own right, that card in Arsenal could have been a pump rather than just a go again enabler. So Zach said no blocks, and he held information, waiting to see what Elaine did, to then respond with Sync Below. So he's aware now that this next Saber attack is coming in for 6, decided Sync Below is the right call. What does he do facing down 6? Because this is now lethal presented in 1 swing. And
It's the first card. We're hoping for a defense reaction after this one, or we might be in a little bit of trouble.
No, that is just him going down to 1 himself. So we've got ourselves a real game of Flesh and Blood, going to 1 versus 1. You love to see it. This is where most games end up when you know that you've actually had quite a fun run of it. You're trading back and forth. You both got so close. It's a Pyrrhic victory no matter what. And we see Elaine drawing up her last hand of 4. Is it perhaps even a Steelblade Shunt if Zach is baited into swinging an Anothos? But it looks like he's not, because he's activating Bravo. That's a dominate for sure.
We see the Young Guardian slide up. Here comes a Thump. It currently does not have a buff, but it looks like a Dominate might be enough to get over the line here. If we put 1 card and it's a 3 value in front of that, that's enough for lethal.
It is just lethal. No red Steelblade that we know that she was running, because we saw the earlier copy. But that is going to be Zach taking down this game. A very, very great game to watch. It was so back and forth. Some heavy blocks by both players. but that is going to be Zach saying no blocks on a huge turn and coming in and just taking Elaine's tempo right out of her clutches. Still came back pretty impressively, but that is Zach moving on to the next round here. Elaine dropping into the losers bracket, where she will still be able to play on for her chance to come back for the finals. So best of luck to her. Overall, really enjoyed that game. Hopefully the viewers did as well. Chris, but what'd you think?
And I was terrified. I was thrilled. I was laughing. I was crying. It's like, I'll smash you for half your life, no blocks. Hey, if it's good enough for you, I'll do the same. And it was a bit of a nail biter, but it worked out. It was not a massive blowout at the end. It was back and forth. Started life totals dropping down a little bit slower near the end, and then Bravo's hero ability came in to really seal the deal. But man, thriller, to quote Mr. Classic himself, that was amazing.
The one thing I wish we saw was Blood on Her Hands actually get played, not just pitched, because Crippling definitely saw its time in the spotlight there, and that card looked great. But with 4 coppers on the field, Blood in Her Hands would look pretty good as well. So, but hey, I hope Blood in Her Hands comes up big for Elaine and the rest of her matches in the losers bracket there, because we unfortunately won't be catching those on camera, but we're going to be moving on here Saturday and Sunday, wrapping up more of the winners bracket. So it's going to be exciting. Stay tuned. More Clash definitely coming your way.
Awesome. I am hyped. Ethan, thank you so much for having me. I look forward to the rest of the games. And brother and Blasphemophet, take care and so long.
Yes. Thanks for watching, y'all. See you for this weekend.